welcome back to this week's Talking Derry City, folks. And as you can see, it's not Kevin and Simon, because Simon, as expected, first game of the season, has went to America. So I'm joined this week with my former journal colleague, Michael Wilson. Michael, you know better than I with Simon in America.
Well, first of all, we have to realise you got to cut a man some slack here. It was at least 4 weeks from his last holiday, so he was probably due one.
Fair point, well made. Fair point, well made.
He hadn't been off since Christmas.
Well, this is it, you know what I mean? It's starting New Year's, you mean to go along with Simon, but we'll get down to matters of Derry City, I suppose. That's why we're here. First game, Friday night, we were there. Probably first half wasn't the best performance. I thought maybe a wee bit of nerves from some people because, as I say, big house, place was packed.
Yeah.
Took them a while to get going, but I think, to be fair, I know late goal, John Russell will be disappointed. Derry deserved the victory, to be honest with you.
I don't think anybody would argue overall Derry were the better team, probably deserved to win. But you're right, I would even probably go as far as probably say the first hour, first 60 minutes. But the good thing from it was that as the game went on, Derry became stronger. You know, they got and they were obviously finishing like a train. That house, or Alex Bannon's goal lifted the roof, and once that started, you could really feel the momentum going for those final 10 minutes. And I think I even said to you,
I have to give him credit where credit's due. You did say that when it was 1-0, I was going, Derry need an equaliser. You don't want to start the season. We had a packed house now, and you did say, I fancy Derry. They won it by young Josh Thomas getting the winner. So did you put any money on it?
It's a pity I didn't put a money on it. No, but you see, there's a lot of things going on with the first game of the season as well. You have obviously James coming back and the sort of furore that created, and everybody's seeing 10 new signs or something, was it, coming in. There's an awful lot going on around that first match. I think it's one of them games that the team just needed to get out of the road. Right now, let's get down to the business of playing football matches every week here. And to that end, all you wanted was a win. You would have took 1-0 in injury time to get it. Was it brilliant? No, first hour wasn't. But I think at the same time, you have a lot of players playing on that pitch for the first time. James, Dara Markey, guys who we know can play. But I think, due to how slow that pitch sometimes plays, I think you need a good 4 or 5 weeks, maybe more, to get used to playing on it to begin with. So to that end, I thought it was very positive night. The whole, even if they'd have finished with a draw, it wouldn't have been a disaster. But to win it how they did win it, with that gives you a hell of a kick in the first week, just to push on now.
Well, 100%. Now, we're obviously recording this on Sunday morning here in the Journal office, and St Pat's are playing Bows at the Aviva now at 2 o'clock, so we won't know how that goes. Yeah. But Shells obviously drew at Waterford. I haven't watched that. They took the lead for John Martin, and then Tommy Lonergan equalised in the second half. But I watched the highlights of that, and Shells will be disappointed. They had the chances. And obviously Drogheda did do what Drogheda do and got a last-minute winner. They signed young Godden, I think it was, on Gooden. God, he is a good one.
They got a good one.
They got a good one. He signed him on the Wednesday, and he scores a winner at Galway in the last minute. Galway missed a penalty and had chances, so John Caulfield will be disappointed. From Derry's point of view, as we said, Alex Bannon were worldly, and then I think the angle we had, particularly at that side, and the minute they hit it, you went, that's in. And it's the same with Josh Thomas, cutting on his left foot, the minute they bent it, you went, that's in. But it just gives everybody that confidence and that boost going on for the rest of the season, and because the place was packed, rammed atmosphere, you could sort of anticipate, you could smell coming on the ground. This is a big game, you know what I mean?
And that translates to the pitch too, so the longer they go, without getting the goal. And then again, I don't want to be talking too much on the pitch, which thank goodness is going now, but if an opposition, that pitch plays slow, so if an opposition does get the first goal, which from a Derry point of view was a poor goal, we're not going to hide that. Yeah, it was a poor goal to give away. But again, you could probably put down to a lot of new relationships on the pitch trying to be built. But if an opposition does get that first goal, due to the way that pitch plays, which is quite slow, I think it's doubly hard then to try and turn that, to try and turn a deficit into a lead. And that's where Derry deserve a lot of credit for that, because if you look at the other results you're talking about, the likes of Shells and all, that shows you the first few weeks you always get that. Everybody's up for it, everybody's buzzing, it's a new week. Or it's a new season, sorry. But you don't get, matches going to form the way they will later in the season.
The second set of fixtures, second series of fixtures, I should say, that's when you'll see it. Then you'll start seeing, right, everybody's got under their grooves, they've got the starting 11 that they want. Because Tiernan Lynch, like most managers, are still, right, does this work? Does that work? You know, if he made what six new signings making their debuts on Friday night. So it's going to take a while to get things going.
There's very few teams that I think we were looking at it last year's opening match against Shells. We were looking at the two lineups and we thought, was there three? Am I right in saying there was three?
Brian Maher and Mickey Duffy.
Carl Winchester.
And Carl Winchester.
Were the only three surviving. So that shows you a hell of a turnaround of players. So now you can go to pre-season training camp, you can play a few friendlies, but to get those sort of relationships built, that needs to be worked on week in, week out in terms of playing matches. And to that end, you're putting 6 new players into a starting 11 and you're getting a win on the opening day. I'll take that all day.
Well, this is it. And I thought, obviously everybody's talking about, James playing in front and the back four and he done it down at Tallinn, whatever else. I think the first half in particular, James and a lot of the players struggled, didn't get really into it. They maybe give the ball away a few times, and it's just these type of getting the understanding, the relationships going. I think what he did at Tala and what he did in the second half, whether or not it was Tiernan switching tactics, I think that wee triangle of James slotting on as such as left back and telling Brandon Fleming to get forward, and then Mickey Duffy gets into the wee pocket. That wee triangle worked brilliantly. Asuya down playing right back didn't know what to do. Like it was just like they're coming at me again, and Brandon Fleming was outstanding. It's just trying to get that wee triangle going, and that's where you can see that definitely benefiting.
Well, that's probably the biggest debate that came out of the whole thing is James a central midfielder? People, and we do love a good debate up here in Derry. And I think people are rushing to sort of conclusions very quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, for James himself, I'm sure that was a game he just wanted out of the road. The sort of, the whole frenzy around him coming up to it, he just needed to get that game out of the road and settle into doing what he's done so well for so long, which is just playing football again. Like, will he stay there for the rest of the season? Who knows? That's the good thing. He gives options.
Yeah.
He gives you options. And you're right, if Brandon Fleming, I thought the game's outstanding player, to be brutally honest, but if James coming in there allows him to get further forward, that's another good thing as well. They can rotate. They're going to be asking questions of the opposition because James can go left, Mickey can go left, Brandon's left, James Clark as well drifted in there sometimes, and I thought he showed some lovely touches. I was very impressed with him now for a guy making his debut for the club. So there's what every manager wants his options, and he's got them there. I don't know that James will stay there for the rest of the season. Is he good enough to play? And of course he is. The man's 100 caps for Ireland. Well, who the hell are we to sit here and question?
Yeah.
It's probably new to him. So as much as he's had the career he's had and all that, he's probably learning that position himself. So, I mean, I don't see why people were rushing to conclusions. I thought, again, he got stronger as the game went on, which is probably what we were speaking of earlier about. He settled into it and started playing the game once the whole frenzy of the game itself was out of the road.
Well, that's it. The goal down at Tala was just fronted James. Took a short corner to Mickey and got half a yard, got away from his man, cut it back, and Dar Murphy scored. That's fronted James, and you can see that happening throughout the season. While he's playing centre midfield, he can just drift out that left wing, as I said earlier, telling Brandon Fleming to go on, or sometimes Brandon just you sit and I'll go, and it may leave Carl Winchester going, is there any help in here? But look, no, it is one of them where everybody just needs to sort of calm down. First game, everybody was just finding their feet, and we'll continue to do that for the next couple of weeks. And like Friday night, we'll get on to talking about Dundalk in a minute, but these first 4 games, while everybody thinks it's great, and it is great that their first 4 games are at home, and you might have a bit of momentum built up going down to Tala, they're all going to be difficult at home because getting used to the pitch, getting used to your new teammates, and the teams that are coming up are going to be sitting in and trying to hit there in the counter. Like Sligo would have been absolutely buzzing, getting the goal by a Kiki, lovely run. And there seemed a bit of a gap between Patrick and young Rob Slavin, and Kiki got in there and finished it well. But it is a case of that's what if teams can nearly go against there, or take a lead, should say, not nearly go, but take a lead, it's going to be a long night. But the fans backed them. To be fair, they kept them going, and you could see, like, obviously Thomas went through 1-on-1. Keeper said that Winchester was a great save on the bar. Clark in the first, the fans know that it's coming, but you had that feeling they backed them the whole way. Like,
they never stopped. That's the one thing. I mean, was there frustration? You could feel a wee bit of frustration at times, but that's because everybody wants the team to do so well. Do you know what I mean? And I thought the fact that they got stronger as the game went on was that's a great positive to have in there, because I mean, heads could have dropped, and maybe the crowd could have got on top of them, but there was no sign of that at
No.
all. I didn't think there was any sign of that. And I'm going to say it again that I called it for you there, but I could see that coming. Just like Josh Thomas, for example, missed a couple that he would probably really expect to score, but I thought he had an excellent game.
Yeah.
He never stopped, 100%, 100 mile an hour. For a guy who was trying to occupy 2 centre halves, maybe 3 defenders at times on his own, I thought he was excellent. So there was a lot of good points, a lot of positives. I didn't, at no point did I think, this is a team that's, Jesus, where are we going here? There's still questions that Tiernan will be looking at that thinking, right, will it change? Will it stick with 4-4-2? Will it maybe go back to 5? But the fact that he has options is a positive. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
No, and the window's still open. He's looking for a right back and he's looking for a right-sided centre back. That the options are still looking.
Yeah,
and as I say, the window's still open the middle of February. So it'll be a case of keeping that going and trying to get that. If he gets that, then it's an ideal, scenario for the squad wise. But you're right, you have the options. Plus, you've Cameron Dummigan to get back into the squad. You've Liam Boyce to come back into the squad. You've Dippo. So while you looked at the bench and you had options, you're still going. There's 3 boys sitting in the stand.
Yeah.
That is added that could go on the starting 11. So it's a nice scenario to have. We have to talk about, unfortunately, the ugly scenes at half time. I know there's a big tifo before the game welcoming James back. And the guys were delighted to get that, and they've been working the club, certain sections everybody knows, and the club has been talking to them. But I don't know at this stage what the club can do. They've done enough talking. Everybody could see that it was a Derry fan lifted the Sligo flag. Ran up the pitch. Stewards seemed to take a wee bit longer. They maybe click in the action. To the credit of the stewards, it could have escalated massively because a lot of Sligo fans then started to run down as Derry fans come on the pitch. Stuff you just don't want to see at the end of the day, Michael.
No. Well, look, if you want to know what I think what the club feels about it, and in terms of the fans, the reaction of the home fans to what was going on told me everything. Like, we were sitting there in the press box.
In the south end, yeah.
The boos and the disgruntlement were audible. They were letting these guys know, look, we're sick and tired of this. How many times is this going to, it's impacting the club, it's impacting the image of the club. It's a match that's live on TV, opening game of the season. That's the last thing you want to see. And I mean, the videos that have been circulating around social media, obviously, we didn't see the whole thing start to finish, but the videos look pretty self-explanatory if you're following them. And as you say, it did look at the start, maybe the stewards were a wee bit slow to cop on to what was happening, but I think probably everybody in the ground was slightly slow. And once they got a handle on it, they made sure it didn't escalate, which was very good. And so they got that side of it. But the problem is that those images are out there again. And I mean, how many times are we going to see it? And what do these? I know it's maybe the young lads are thinking this is a bit of fun, but it's not. It's not when it's been beamed around the country and people are thinking, look, this is what happens at the Brandywell.
Well, this is it. The thing it was also sort of a wee bit. Sort of you're going, what's going on here? How much do we need to get that it has to get so serious? There was a young lad was on the pitch with what looked like a glass bottle or some type of an object in his hand, and he was waiting for the Sligo fans as they were running up, and you could see him sort of clenching the object in his hand, and the stewards grabbed the hood in, but you're sort of sitting there going, what is this young fella think he can do if he hits a Sligo fan? It's so bad, and it really does. We've talked about this before in the podcast. It has to stop, and the club keeps speaking to them, and they're saying they're doing this or doing that, but the proof's in the pudding then, and the pitch, they're not doing it. They're not doing what they're saying.
The club's trying, so if the young lads, and they're trying to promote the atmosphere and things like that, so if they are doing that, excuse me, at some point, they have to meet the club halfway. The club's trying to meet them, so, there has to be a certain element of self-policing then. If these, you can't be turning up there every Friday night, Is it a bit of fun running and grabbing the flag? It's not really, because it's the sort of thing incites, trouble. It done exactly what it says in the tin, so to speak. So, I mean, these are guys that are talking to the club's talking to them, we're trying to work hand in hand. But at some point, the onus shifts from the club to these people. And there has to be some sort of self-policing within I don't know who they are.
I don't know them, you see them.
It doesn't take a genius to see this is not helping the club. The club that they profess to support, they're hurting it. They're damaging it. Other fans are telling them, guys, you can't do this.
And you're like a majority of the fan that's South End Park stand are literally shouting back at us and are chatting to us saying, "This has to stop. We don't want them."
Yeah.
You know, when your own fans don't want you, that's not a good image.
No, and the point, like, you don't want to see people thrown out of grounds and stuff like that, but it's coming to that. The club, they'll be the first to complain when the club expel them and ban them. They'll be saying it's not fair and all, but there's only so many chances yet.
Well, the other thing is, you know, it'll hurt Derry City in the pocket with a fine, but it's going to get to a stage where nobody wants to say it, but they're going to be just media on the game. They're going to be a stadium lockdown, and there'll be nobody on. There'll be just a TV camera to see. You know, and that's what's going to happen. The FAI have done this and have said to them, "Look, we can't keep this going on." You know, so.
Well, that's insane. It sounds like what you're talking about sounds draconian and you know, like really extreme. But that's what it'll come to eventually. I mean, because if Derry City are not seen to be able to control these guys, then that moves up a level to the FAI, and then the FAI have to be seen to take action against them, and nobody wants that. So it's such a simple fix if these guys would just, you know, calm down. And nobody's doubting the fact that they're supporting Derry City and doing all this, but it's about how you support the club. You know, it's about how you're part of the club in the sense that you're projecting an image as well as the club, and if they continue to project the image that we've seen. And albeit we must say it was briefly on Friday night, but it's so damaging.
Well, 100%, like, and that's the thing. Well, look, enough of that. Well, unfortunately,
it was the only
Michael,
black spot of a otherwise wonderful night.
And unfortunately, I think we'll be talking about it again, because unfortunately this is continuing for a number of years. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're not speaking about this now again the rest of the season. But unfortunately, the record sort of shows that we probably will be. But look, it is what it is, and I do know that the club will be looking to have more discussions, and they'll come out with something of what their response to it is. But we'll just get back to the sort of action on the pitch as such, and this, we're talking about the support. The roof was lifted when Alex Bannon scored. Like, as I said earlier, we sort of seen it the Monday, get half a yard. Yeah. I think I should out hit that.
Well, it looked like it got away from him. And I think Alex even says after it looked like it got away from him, but the minute it left his boot from where we were sitting, you knew it was goal bound. Like,
it had to be a rocket, because Sam Sargent was playing like Schmeichel in his heyday.
What is it with goalkeepers? As soon as they arrive at Brandywell, they suddenly turn into Schmeichel. But he was having a worldly of a night, and it took sort of two worldies to beat him, and they were. And I was delighted for Alex Bannon too, because I mean, he's a guy who's sort of, well, not saying an unsung hero and all that sort of stuff, but he's never in the limelight. He's just going about his job, and nobody actually knew would he still be there this year. Would he be playing? Would he be a regular? What his position was going to be in this new look squad? But he didn't put a foot wrong on Friday night. No,
but Tiernan, like I'd asked sort of Tiernan that about, you know, maybe not first choice regular, but he would have fought with Alex Bannon. And he admitted, look, he was in, he was out, he was gone, he was here, you know, so that tells you where Alex Bannon was at. You know, he wasn't part of Tiernan's plans at some stage and during the off-season. He stuck at it, and that's a credit to him that he didn't stick at it. Obviously done enough. It's probably helped them that they haven't got a right-footed defender at the club at the minute. Cameron Dummigan would say otherwise, and he probably would also say otherwise, that he doesn't want to play right back. And as you say, Conor Barr too. But from Conor Barr's point of view, he's just starting out, and his career. I know he's got about a loan moves to Cliftonville and Ballymena, but it's a bigger step. So from that point of view, it helped Alec to go on there. But he's a centre half, like he's not a right back, but he it's a credit to him, and you know, you could see the emotion when he stuck the goal on.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He is like, I think he'd be more probably suited if Tiernan ever goes with the three centre halves at the back again. That would suit him more. But for the night that was in it, given that people, you were looking at that team, thinking, you know, who was going to be playing there, things like that, and it was maybe one of the areas that concerned people. But I didn't think he put a foot wrong. I thought he's a lovely habit of scoring goals.
Well, he scored 2 rockets last year against St. Pat's. He got them going.
He has a great habit of doing that, and Jesus, long may it continue. But I don't think he done too much wrong at all. The right side wasn't as productive as I would have liked, but that's because, again, the thing that goes against him as a right back is that he doesn't have that natural overlapping tendency. You know, he's not flying up and down.
He's a defender's defender.
Yeah, and then with Dara Markey again in front of him, Dara's not a natural right-sided. He tends to float central. So you have a centre half at right back and a central midfielder or playmaker in front of him. So I thought that squeezed the pitch a wee bit. We didn't keep the pitches wide. So maybe that would go against him as a right back. But in terms of defending, he done what he had to do well. The goal was just a rocket, you know what I mean? And it was exactly what they needed, because the way Sligo were defending at that point, that was when it was becoming, Fergie language, squeaky bum time. We were starting to think, here, is this ever going to come or what? And that just let the blue touch paper, the place exploded. Like,
well, as you said, we spoke to Alex after the game, so we'll listen to his wee interview now.
Came in at half time really disappointed with the way we played. We've worked so hard through pre-season on basic structure and the way to just get on it. The teams we're going to come up against in the league, and we didn't do that in the first half. Second half, you could see just the free-flowing attacking football we can play, creating chances, and it was starting to get frustrating, as you could probably see. But just glad to get over the line with 3 points. And just obviously getting the score sheet myself as well, it's no better feeling, especially as a defender. It's a really, really good feeling.
You're making a habit of sort of grabbing crucial goals for us. Talk us through that one. That must be one of your best.
Oh, it's one of my best and probably one of my worst, because it's a bit of a tackle as well. So I've took a touch past them and I've just thought, might as well hit it, and I've never hit a ball worse in my life, but I'm just glad it hit the back of the net, to be honest. And on a personal note, a lot of things are now going on in my family, and it's just the best way to just put so many smiles on my family's faces, and the fans of course, but on a personal note, just to make sure that my family's smiling and knowing that they're proud of me and stuff like that. There's no better feeling. You could see after I scored the emotion that I let out just over the last few weeks. It's been tough, but that was just some way to put it.
Well, there you are, Mick. As I say, you were asking the questions and I was Spielberg with a camera for that minute or whatever. But the minute that obviously everybody can see and hear, he was talking about being very emotional. It was a big thing for getting the goal for his family. But we also talked about, how now you have to kick on. It's a massive result, and that's stuff that, as I say, you'd have for the paper on Tuesday and whatever. But he does talk about that, like. He
does, and I mean, he's a guy who wants to be at Derry, because as you say, there was opportunities to go. He probably could have went other places, but I like a player like that who sort of goes, no, I'm going to show you what I'm worth here. I'm going to dig in. And is he going to be long term answered right back? I'm not so sure, but I can see us playing three at the back plenty this year, and in that situation, I could see him slotting on the right hand side very, very easily of a three, a five at the back. But the result's only as good if you do build on it. And he did say that. He was sort of saying, look, there's no point in us, everybody's patting each other in the back now, and then we go and, the dog comes here and slips up. Because a lot has been made of the fact that the 4 opening games are at home, but that also means 4 games on that pitch that the boys don't necessarily like. Would they rather have had those 4 games on the new grass pitch towards the end of the season? Possibly so.
Yeah.
But Tiernan,
time will tell.
Yeah, Tiernan said it afterwards. You just get these games won, however you manage to do it, and then move on. Hopefully to, brand spanking new Aviva style.
Exactly, billiard table. No, but I think, as you say, you sort of look at the results in the first game, and everybody it's just about winning, and it's just getting them sort of understandings going each game as it keeps going on. Look, I know Tiernan alludes to it when we spoke to him after, and Tiernan was sort of saying probably fans don't want to hear this, but it's just about building relationships and a process. And he's right, because you've signed so many, and Tiernan knows himself, the signing so many has to stop. You have to just be adding 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And I think this squad is the time when he can start adding 1 or 2 come July, because it's young, it's vibrant, as you said, in the fan form. It's got the mix there of everything, power, pace. The goals are there too, and it's the right age sort of category. And I think July, you'd be hoping he's only maybe adding 1 or 2 if needed.
If needed, aye, because I think he was very keen to try and dampen expectations.
100%.
I heard you 2 last week, straight in, league titles coming to Derry. I'm sure Tiernan, if he listens to it, was listening to that going, what are them two?
I know. But we also to put a wee footnote out saying, hey, come July, folks, you know the rules, don't be blaming us.
But there's a reason for that, and I love that confidence. And for us, we have the freedom to say that sort of stuff. But
rightfully Tiernan and the squad.
Rightfully the boys know that we can say stuff like that and throw lines away. But for them, it's not as easy as just, your favourites now, you win. You've got 30 odd very, very tough games football to win. And it's not going to be plain sailing. So he was keen to just sort of say, like, right, we've got this whole big, we're back at the Brandywell team. That's out of the road now. Let's just settle in to try and doing what we're trying to do, which is win matches week on week. And let's not get too far ahead when we win one match, But let's not all come down, because there will be a weekend where it doesn't go right. Like, and I don't think, bar that whole nonsense at half time, if you could have wrote a script for the first night, you probably would have went with that. Your new striker scores a last minute, injury time winner. You take that every day of the week. First game of the seasons are notoriously hard to predict and to win, and they done it. So let's give them credit.
Exactly, and I know, having spoke to a couple of mates in WhatsApp groups and whatever else, they were just sort of saying, you can't be the last minute winner. You're leaving the ground, buzzing, let's get ready. We're back as such, and that's the way everybody left.
Only problem is it actually heightens the expectations go through the roof.
Well, this is up now. You've got Dundalk coming to the Brandywell. Dundalk team who didn't play their first game now is against there, so you're going to have that first game feeling for them. Up for it, they were meant to be going to Tala, washed out. They were meant to be at home against us, but they're going away again. Obviously, their pitch at Oriel Park's been relayed and new floodlights, so that's why it's been switched to Brandywell. Danny Mullen coming back, wanting to prove a few people that he still should be there.
Danny's a good player too.
Exactly. They've signed Connor Cairns, very good signing for a keeper. You've Dara Markey still there. You've Stephen Kenny's young fella, Owen Kenny's playing with Northern under 21s too. So they're going to come saying, right, listen, it's like John Russell. We'll sit back, and if we get a chance, we're hoping Danny Mullen or Owen Kenny can take it, and we'll then it's up to you. Rob Carmel's another boy coming back, experienced.
Knows what he's doing, knows a Brandywell. But you took the words out of my mouth. It's going to be, in my view, more of the same what you see in Sligo.
Yeah.
You're going to see more of the same that. But with that wee added caveat of a few boys with a point to prove, like, Danny Mullen has to be coming here going, right, as much as he loved his time here, and I always thought he was excellent for Derry, done a really good job, but he's got to be coming here thinking, I'd love to show these guys, let me go. And you have to expect that.
100%.
And he's a good player, but is it a game Derry should win? 100%. If you are talking about lifting titles, these are games that you have to win, and there are things going around it because it's early in the season. They're going to have that new game enthusiasm, as you say, but the bottom line is, and I don't think Derry are shying away from it this year, which I like. This is a game they have to win. Not have to, need to win.
Yeah, and that's it. And now, you look at the sort of fixtures, get Andy next week, you've another Dublin derby. Sean McGovern's first game of the season is against Shelburne.
Yeah.
And we alluded to it last week, Sean McGovern's first 3 games now are going to be Dublin derbies. It's going to be Shells, Pats, Bows, and then they play Derry. Yeah. So, it's big games for them. You've obviously that Dublin derby today with some Pats and Bows. We alluded to at the Aviva. Derry, we keep saying it, have to capitalise when these Dublin derbies are going on.
But it's not even just the derbies. The fact that Rovers are always tend to be a week or two behind the other clubs in terms of the early stages of the season, just given the fact that they go so deep in Europe often. So that means, I thought you seen it a wee bit in the President's Cup final, where a week or two of extra pre-season makes a hell of a difference. So they're still getting up to what they would consider themselves full speed. So try and take advantage now. Get your points on the board, and that's all you can do. Dublin derbies are unpredictable. So Derry win their games, move on. I don't want to even be looking at Shamrock Rovers just at the minute. I know you can't have it, but let's just keep the feel-good factor with Derry at the minute.
That's exactly it. I think Derry coming under it, there's talk of possibly Cameron Dummigan sort of returning to full training this week. He's another option if you get him breaking him back in. Liam Boyce, we can't lie, folks. We forgot about asking about Liam Boyce because of the Ferrari last minute goal. We forgot to ask why was he not involved, because he was involved in the President's Cup. That's something that'll be asked this week at the presser, if he's back or what the situation was, why he wasn't involved. Maybe Tierney just thought, listen, another week he's not ready yet, and he's not injured, but I'm going to go with the boys and I'm ready. But that is something we'll find out this week. But it's good to have options. You might have these boys back in again.
That's what we're saying. Options. If you look at a squad, if you've boys and always having to look over their shoulder and play well, that gives you the kick up the ass to keep sort of keep fighting on. And he'll be delighted with the options he's got. The one side is, as I said, the one part of the squad that does concern me slightly is just the right side in terms of. I was slightly surprised maybe that Gavin White didn't get a run at some point on the match, just when we needed a wee bit of a spark down the right hand side. Like I thought he might have been introduced, but again, he's another option. So we're looking about, he's there. Those are good things. Maybe not for the players who aren't starting the games.
Yeah.
But you want those players to be knocking on their manager's door, going, "Hey, why am I not starting?" First thing the manager's going to say is, "Well, get out there and prove it." And Monday to Thursday, and we'll talk about it. So that's a good thing from a Derry point of view. Those options that he does have defensively, defensively, I would like to see some of the. We haven't seen. There's a couple of new boys coming in.
Well, you've also Stott too, who can slot back on the
Jamie's
centre
still
half.
coming.
You've Hamdi there, so that's your option. Like, you can bring in the centre half if you want to play free, or if you want to switch one of the two centre halves.
Did you like the 4-4-2? Would you stick with that, or?
Well, it's going to be horses for courses. You know what I mean? See who you're playing, see who your opposition is, and you can change it around. It's good that you have the options to do it.
Yeah.
The big thing for me, I keep coming back to it, is the signings that Tiernan has made this window as League of Ireland experience, younger, and have legs. And no, you can't be relying on Mickey Duffy as your great white hope, which they did last year. You now have your James Clark, you have your Dara Markey didn't get to where he wanted to be, but Dara Markey scored in the President's Cup. Yeah. You've Josh Thomas looks a live wire. He looked really good against.
Dara Markey, we should say,
exactly.
He's getting used to that pitch as well, and I expect good things from him.
Yeah, and James Clark's the same, so you have that options. Why last year, if Mickey doesn't score, we're in bother. You know what I mean?
One thing we should say too, and it's a wee thing that went under the radar, just as I thought the introduction of Adam O'Reilly made a hell of a difference.
Oh, well, this is it. Adam gives you that energy, that sort of the burst on the midfield, making that third man run. That's what Derry need. Now you have it with Markey and you have it with James Clark and you have it with Mickey, but last year it was just Adam and Mickey. Yeah. If Gavin White was fit, he'd have been doing it, but it was just things when Gavin White was out or Liam Boyce was out. It was just, right, Mickey had to do it, or it was nothing else. Now you're taking the pressure off Mickey.
If you're an opposition midfielder and you've got the 70 minutes, chasing boys down and your legs are starting to go, the last thing you want to see is Adam O'Reilly coming in, because he just doesn't stop.
Well, this is exactly it.
His energy. And you're right, when you start going through some of those names, there's a lot of options in that, especially in that middle third. There's so many options you can toy with, take guys out, give them a break, put them back in, so.
Well, this is the thing too. The looks of the Gavin White and Adam O'Reilly didn't start. Adam O'Reilly's come in, made an impact. If Gavin White comes on, he knows he has to make an impact, because you have to make it to try and keep yourself in the team, or in this case, get yourself in the starting lineup. So it's an ideal selection headache if you're a manager.
Perfect for a manager. I mean, that's your dream there. You're looking around, and it's not that these are guys, even all due respect, coming from youth teams these are established players, former international players who are putting pressure on each other. James Clark, I thought he looked excellent at times. Yeah. He looked like a real class act, and I think he's one of the players, even anecdotally talking to some of the supporters after, I think he's really going to excite people. Yeah. He looks like a Derry City type of player. He's got a style about him. He's as strong as an ox, for a guy who can play. He was knitting wee passes together that maybe didn't always land, just because it's probably so early in the season. Yeah. And you could see those, as guys start to get used to each other, you could see that being very, very effective.
Well, this is it. And as I say, you sort of look at it, Dundalk at home, I suppose we'll get on to our predictions, and Dundalk at home, and because you're the guest, I suppose, this week, because Bottler is running about shouting Super Bowl and sitting in the bar watching the American football Super Bowl tonight.
Before we even do the predictions, you know what he's now predicting for the season after a last-minute winner.
That's done. I didn't even know. Why is the season still going on? That's what he's saying. He's wondering why it's going on.
We're going to have to bring him down there.
Exactly. So it's glad he's actually in America.
Exactly. I thought I heard him shouting from there.
Shouting woo.
But no, this week, as I say, I expect more of the same sort of game. Will Tiernan switch up the team a wee bit? I'm not so sure. I mean, I would expect something similar to what he started with last week, because nobody done anything wrong. First hour was too slow, was probably the only thing. So you would like to see the tempo raised a wee bit, but Dundalk's just such an unknown quantity. It's hard to sort of say that Derry's going to do this, because you're just basing your analysis on what you've seen from Derry.
Because with Dundalk's game being called off, we haven't seen them.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know what to expect. I expect Danny Mullen to be running himself into the ground to make an impact.
As long as he doesn't kiss a badge if he scores.
No, that could
start a riot.
Yes, that could be the same as stealing a Sligo flag there. Yeah. But no, I think Derry will win the game, and I'm basing that on they get stronger as the game went on last week. Tiernan had the options to make changes at that sort of 60, 70 minute mark, which helped them. It helped Derry push forward, lifted the tempo. So I'm going to go 2-0 Derry.
No, wouldn't be far off. You was sort of thinking the same, but no, I think you're right. I think also just getting that game, Derry playing that last Friday night, is going to benefit them. While Dundalk, it's their first game, I know they'll come in with a bundle of energy first game. Can't wait to get going. But big players for them, as I say, Rob Cornwall have to do a big season for them defensively. Then you have Darrell Markey, Darrell Horgan, has to be added for them. And the two boys up front, young Kenny and Danny Mullen, is going to be where they have to be. They have to, whatever chances they get, they have to tackle them this season, because if they can get a goal scorer, I think they can stay away from the relegation zone. But I think looking at sort of Reddy, Galway, not having a goal scorer, Sligo, while at times they were very good, lovely patterns are playing, lovely.
Very well organised.
But I think strike force, a striker, everybody's looking for them. Doesn't matter. Exactly. You can go through the world, you cross channel football, European football, they're all looking for a striker. So, but I think if Kenny and Danny Mullen can do it for Dundalk, I think that'll help them. And saying all that, you're hoping they don't do it on Friday night. Defensively, Derry that looks steady enough, just that one lacks of concentration. I still think because of the likes of, as I say, Danny Mullen really itching to sort of prove a few doubters wrong, I'm probably going to go 2-1 Derry. I think Dundalk might nick a goal. You're hoping that it's a consolation rather than them taking the lead, because if they take the lead like Sligo, they're going to sit down.
It's that on that pitch, the first goal is crucial.
Yeah.
First goal is crucial because it does, as we said earlier, it does play slowly, which favours a defending team. If a pitch is a slow pitch, that helps a team defending. So yeah, and that's where I think going forward, you love when I use Mikel Arteta references, but the Derry finishers, not substitutes, finishers.
Yes.
The Derry finishers, and I thought
Arsenal won there at the weekend, folks. In case you didn't know, Arsenal's back.
But that's where I thought, like when you seen against Sligo, what Arteta would call the finishers, which I love that you love the modern football terms.
Oh God,
they're not
almighty.
Substitutes anymore.
Box entries and finishers.
But I think that side of Derry's is such a strength now, because it got to that 60 or 70 minute mark. They were able to bring guys on. We've went through who came on. It made such a difference at the end. And I think if they can continually doing that in matches, if you're well in a game, if you're leading, or if it's a tight game, if you can bring guys like this off the bench at 60 and 70 minutes, that's a hell of a bonus to have there. Like, there's not too many squads, Rovers aside, that can do that.
Well, this is exactly it. Well, listen, folks, that's this week's podcast wrapped up. There's rumours that Simon will be back next week, but again, it's rumours. You wouldn't know. Like as Michael alluded to, he's been away a month and he needed a holiday, so we'll see the crack.
He might be tired from his American trip.
Exactly. Shouting way downtown after watching the American football. Woo! Well, as I say, folks, join us next week, and hopefully it's after another Derry City victory.